Hey friends, welcome to Simplified by Singham. Welcome back to our CustomTkinter series. So far, we have learned a lot. We started with labels to display text, then we made buttons that we could click, and in the last episode, we created an entry box so users can type something. Here is the thing, as our application grows, it's going to get messy if we just keep throwing widgets everywhere. That's where today's topic comes in, which is CTK frame of a frame as a box or container where you can neatly organize your labels, buttons, entries all in one place. So let's start with the simplest example, which is by creating a frame. But before that, let's import CustomTkinter. I'm writing code from scratch, so even you guys get used to that so that you guys can remember the concepts. So I don't want to write code from, in the middle by changing the previous code. So I'm writing code from scratch so you guys can get it, so you guys get a good practice. I'm just assuming that you guys are typing with me. That's all. So import custom tick into our CDK and just initialize the main window. And just create a root tk, which is the root window. And here we are going to get ctk.ctk. And you're going to create root tk dot geometry. In the previous episodes, we worked with all classes. But here, in order to understand the frame, I think this is the best way. So I'm just avoiding the classes for now so that it'll easy for you to understand the simple code, because with classes it might be more complex, so that's why I'm not using any classes here. So let's understand the actual concept of frames, and let's give a title. So root pk dot title. Let's give it a basic example of ctk frame. And let's also create a frame. Let's give frame ctk.ctk frame, and just give master equal to root tk, and then we'll give width 200, height maybe also 200, and then we'll give border width 2, and also foreground color light blue, and we'll give border color dark blue. And let's use pad to see the frame. So pad x equal to 20 and pad y equal to 20. And now let's add widgets to the frame. So adding widgets to the frame. In the previous exercises, if you observe, we used to create a class called application, and we used to add labels or buttons or even the text, whatever the things that we need, we are adding it inside that class itself. Here, this root is nothing but a window. Like for example, if Windows is like application, if Windows is like an application, then this VS Code, we can consider it as a frame. Like for example, so something like a box or a separate space that we are creating where we can keep everything in that particular space. Okay, you will just see it, and I'm going to just remove this part. Okay, now we are going to add all the labels and buttons in this. So label equal to ctk dot ctk frame, ctk label, and here you will give master as frame, and then you will give text. This is, or maybe text inside frame. And then you will place it label.pack paired by equal to 10. And then you will create a button ctk.ctk button, and you will just give master as frame and text equal to click here. And then you will also show this button using pack paired by equal to 10. And then you will loop this root tk dot main loop so that you will see the frame. So what's happening here? So we created a basic CTK frame with light blue background and a dark blue border. Inside that frame, we added label and button. And since the frame itself is packed into the main window, everything stays neatly grouped together. So instead of scattering widgets across the window, we can now keep them organized. We can keep all of them at one place so that if you want to move that particular frame to any another place or any another, if you want to do a particular operation on that entire frame where it have all the labels, buttons and widgets, then it will be even easy for you to create the actions according to that particular frame. It depends on the application and its complexity, but in order to keep everything more organized, then it's better to use frames when you're, building very big applications. Let's also configure the root to background color to white. And now let's run it. And also change the text inside the frame. Let's keep it text color as black. So this is the actual CTK frame. If you want, you can even reduce the size of the button, like changing the width and height. But for now, I'm not going to do it because this is just to make you understand that. So this is how we create a frame. So, and we can create multiple frames, like even you can create one frame here, you can create one frame here. When you're dealing with a huge application, when you want to organize everything neatly in one particular thing, this frame will help you a lot. It's like if you learned HTML, CSS, if you have a basic knowledge on web development, there we used to have a div method, something like this in HTML. It's nothing but a partition kind of thing where you organize everything in that particular box. So the frame is similar to that. Now you know I love writing cleaner code, right? So let's take this a step further and put the frame into a class. That way we can reuse it easily if we need multiple frames in the future. So I'm going to modify this code by just creating a class. So create class for the frame. So class, maybe my frame, ctk dot, we are going to get that ctk frame. Okay. And then we are going to initialize it. Self, and we give master, and then we give keyword arguments. And then we initialize it with super dot init master again. And then we can just keep these two things inside that by just keeping them here. And you have to just give self dot but I would love to use grid here instead of pack. So I'm going to keep grid row equal to 0 and column equal to 0. Let's give pad extend. And also pad y equal to 10. And also self dot button, the same thing. But here we change the rows and column values, row value 1, column value 0, and pad extend pad by 10. Okay. So this is the actual frame where it have label and button. Okay. Now let's create our application, Tkinter application. Again, we have to use class app ctk.ctk. Same thing, initialize it. And again, then we'll give a good geometry. 400 by 300 maybe. And we'll give a good title. Example with class. And then we will configure the grid. So self.grid row configure. We'll give it 0. Don't worry about the logic, just keep coding with me. I will explain at the end. Self.grid column configure, and we'll give it to 0 and weight to 1. And also now it's time to add the frame to the application. So adding the frame to the application. So we just have to import it from the above class. So how we are going to do it? So I just have to create self dot my frame. My frame, and the master is self, and you're going to get, so we just imported this my frame just like that, and we are giving it foreground color, maybe light gray. And just give border width 2 and border color black. And then self dot my frame, you are going to place it dot grid, row equal to 0 and column equal to 0, pad x equal to 20 and pad y equal to 20. And then give sticky, north, south, east, west. So after this, here instead of this, what we'll do is app equal to app dot main loop is this one. And we are going to keep everything here. And we are using this frame from here, master equal to frame. Okay. So what we did, we created a custom frame called my frame, and inside that frame we put label and a button using grid. And then in our main app, we just dropped in my frame like a reusable widget. You can reuse it any multiple times if you want. So this way you can create multiple frames across your application without repeating code. It is super clean and super organized. Let's run it. Mm. Oh, I have to give end here. I think now it will work. Now you see a frame. And let's just give self. So here we created So here we created a custom frame called my frame, and inside that frame we kept label and grid and even label and buttons using the grid. And then in our main application we just dropped in my frame. It's like a reusable widget, like you can use it any times you want. And also you can change the geometry of it if you want. You can change the width and even size of it. So this way you can create multiple frames across your application without repeating code. It is super clean and super organized. And yeah, this is all about frame for today. And before we wrap up, here we have some quick tips. So always use grid for better structured layouts, especially when you have multiple frames. And also customize the foreground color and the border color to visually separate the different sections. And also don't forget frames are just containers, so you can put anything inside them. It could be labels, buttons, entries, even other frames you can keep. So today we learned how to create a basic frame and how to add widgets inside it and how to structure our code using classes for reusability. And with frames, our applications will not only look better but also stay easier to manage as they grow. In the next episode, we'll take this further and learn how to nest multiple frames together to build more complex layouts. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and of course, subscribe so don't miss the next part. See you soon and happy coding.